She's like a fairy godmother of organizing, basically. Hey folks, it's Carrie from Pretty Neat. Thanks for joining me. If you're new here to my channel, welcome. I share videos here every week about organizing and decluttering your home and adopting a minimalist mindset. So I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and stick around. Today I want to talk about a show on Netflix. It's been out for a little while now, and it's called Sparking Joy with Marie Kondo. Now this is Marie Kondo's second show on Netflix. Her first show was called Tidying Up, and I did write a review of that when I was writing a blog instead of doing these videos. I'll link to that down below in case you're interested in hearing my thoughts on that show. If you're watching a video on an organizing channel, you're probably familiar with Marie Kondo, but if not, she is a Japanese organizer. She's an organizing guru. She wrote a best-selling book that's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I do recommend her book. She has a very simple method. She goes through people's homes category by category. Her method for decluttering is very simple. She asks you to touch each item individually and ask yourself if it sparks joy. And she talks about this in the new show as well, and she kind of gives it a sound like a hee. She talks about this feeling that you get from your things, and if you get kind of that good, excited, happy feeling when you touch a thing, then you should keep it. And if you don't get that feeling, you should thank it for its service and say goodbye. Marie Kondo is a little bit out there in terms of her spiritual approach to organizing and decluttering. And I think that her approach will really appeal to some people and it won't appeal to other people. They'll think it's a little too woo-woo. I think that it can work depending on the person. I think there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to organizing and decluttering. It certainly is interesting, and I think that that is what distinguishes her from other organizers who are out there. Her techniques for organizing are very simple, and this is something that really struck me watching her new show. She basically has people go through their things, declutter, decide what sparks joy, what does not. And then with the things that remain, she basically says, put them in categories and put them in bins by category. And that's it. It's very easy and straightforward. And I really appreciate that about her because I think a lot of the advice that's out there makes things more complicated than they need to be. And her approach is really very basic. And it's interesting to me that she has built this organizing empire with really just a very simple approach to organizing. So let's talk a little bit about the specifics of the show. It's only 3 episodes, so if you're just looking for a quick watch, something to get you kind of inspired to get organized, I think that this is not a big time commitment, and I kind of like that. And while her previous show, she focused on going to individuals' homes and helping them, in this one, the focus is more on people's businesses, or in one episode, they deal with a church storage space. So she's basically taking her method and broadening the scope. And I think that's a good thing. It keeps it interesting, and it shows you that her method can really work anywhere. It doesn't matter the space, the approach is the same, basically. One thing that really struck me while watching this show with her is that Marie Kondo is not an approachable or relatable person, at least in the way that she comes across in the show. And I think they try to address that by showing some behind the scenes with her and her children and with her husband. Even in those scenes, she's like this ethereal being who is not really of this world. And this is my opinion, obviously, but she just appears to like float through life, and she's this tiny, adorable person. And she seems always kind of happy and excited about what she's doing. And she's so appealing, but it is a little bit hard to relate to her. I reviewed another show on my channel here, The Home Edit, and I'll link to that down below. That is my most watched video by far on my channel. And I feel like the Home Edit ladies, they almost go too far in the opposite direction where they're like, oh my God, I'm such a mess and my kids are terrible. And they're like sort of trying to be the every woman, even though they are like running this massive organizing business and they are organizers to celebrities. So I found them kind of fake in that regard. Marie Kondo, I don't know. I feel like maybe this is how she actually is. She is a very interesting and kind of enigmatic character. She's like a fairy godmother of organizing, basically. And I really kind of like that about her. I think that the people in the show are very genuine and relatable, and I see a lot of their struggles in the people that I work with. So I don't think the show really needs her to be the relatable person. I think that we can watch this show and we can feel the pain of the people that she's helping, and we can get inspiration from the progress that they make with her help. And she's just kind of this interesting person who floats in and makes their lives better and floats away. I did find the stories in the show to be emotionally compelling. People really share how challenging this process is. They share some things about the difficulties that they have experienced in their lives. One person in particular, she's a single mom and she has had cancer and she had to step back from her roles as a teacher and a principal due to her illness. And she really talks about how she struggled with her personal identity. And I think that episode in particular makes a lot of important points about how our things symbolize our identity in the world, and that if our identity has shifted, it can be really hard to get rid of those things from our previous self, because we have to accept the fact that we're not that person anymore. I think this is something that we all struggle with as we move through different phases in life. And that episode in particular really hit me emotionally, and I think a lot of people can relate to her personal struggles as well. The last thing that I want to talk about with regards to this show is the use of products and the product placement. So Marie Kondo has her own line of organizing products available at the Container Store. They're very beautiful. There's a lot of like woven baskets and wooden bins, and they're lovely and not cheap. The products are used pretty prominently in the show. When they do kind of the final reveal of the spaces, you can see her products. They're pretty distinctive. The thing that I like about the show, though, is that they don't really point that out. It's not made really explicit that these are her products and that they're available at the Container Store. And one of my big gripes with the Home Edit show on Netflix, that show was basically a commercial for the Container Store. And in that particular show, they actually showed them shopping in the Container Store. They showed them bringing in bags with the Container Store logo prominently displayed. And it really was very in your face. And I felt like it was really promoting, like, you need to buy these particular products in order to get this end result. Whereas in the Marie Kondo show, they do use a lot of her products, but really her approach is not about the containers. It's more so about the process of decluttering, tidying, and categorizing things and storing them in a way that's functional. And I do appreciate that about her. I mean, I'm not going to fault her for wanting to make money. She's a business person, just like I am, just like the Home Edit people are. And if you do search her name at the Container Store, it says at the very top of the page, featured on the show Sparking Joy on Netflix, and there's a button where you can shop the products that are used in the show. I'm not gonna fault them for that because Container Store is a business too. So bottom line, would I recommend the show Sparking Joy on Netflix? I would. It's only 3 episodes. They're pretty inspirational. I think the people in the show have stories that we can relate to, and it really touches on the emotional aspects of organizing and decluttering, which is something that I think is often missing from the conversation, especially when we're looking at like pictures on Pinterest and stuff like that. So I think it's a worthwhile watch. Marie Kondo is someone you will either really like or you might find her a little too out there, but I think that you will get something out of her show if you're looking for inspiration to organize your own home. As far as getting some really innovative tips for how to organize, I'm not sure that this show provides that, but that's not really the point. Her approach is very simplified. I think that's a strength of her approach, and I think that if you follow her method, it kind of makes it simple to do. If you're looking for some out-of-the-box ideas about how to organize your stuff, you're probably not going to find them in this show, but I really don't think that's necessary. That's kind of similar to the approach that I take as a professional organizer, is that the simplest solutions are generally the best, and they are the ones that you're most likely to be able to maintain moving forward. Have you watched the show Sparking Joy on Netflix? If you have, I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. It really helps out my channel. And don't forget to subscribe. I share new videos here every week about organizing and decluttering your home and adopting a minimalist mindset. Talk to you soon.